Hey guys, this is Otto over at Auto Shop Maui. This week we're doing it just a little bit different. We get a lot of questions from customers on paint jobs. So this video is kind of set up to give you a bit of a lead-in on how to pick your paint and if you want to do a paint job. So we're going to set this up kind of like you're doing an entire paint job for your car, and we're going to break this into 3 parts. The first part is going to be showing you what actually goes into it and setting realistic expectations for what it costs, how much work it takes, everything for getting the paint job done. Part 2 is going to be the different types of paint, the different types of paint jobs, and how you can save money in different parts of it. And number 3 is going to come down to actually picking your paint. A lot of people think that they know what they want, but actually finding the different types of paint, different qualities, the different brands, the different effects, and kind of going from there. To start, if you are just doing a completely normal scuff and spray, that's what we call it when you're not doing any body repair, you're not fixing dents, damage, broken bumpers, anything like that. Let's say you have a car and you have a black car and you want to paint it blue. To do a simple scuff and spray, normal rate right now, as far as I know, especially here on Maui, but the normal rate for just an easy spray job usually comes down to about $4,000. Obviously, if you different parts of the country are going to have different costs, but that's pretty normal if it's super basic with really cheap paint. Most people don't understand why it costs so much. You think you put paint on the car and then it's different and that's it. But realistically, we're going to walk you through the process and show you kind of everything it takes. Starting with it, what you're going to end up doing is when you bring your car in, you're going to, before you even get to the prep stage, you need to get rid of whatever's on there before. So the worst is if you have wraps or plasti dip or anything like that, you need to start by getting rid of that. Clean the car up really nicely. We're going to get rid of all the dust, all the grease, all the grime, everything like that. Next step is going to come down to wrapping. So this is, you're going to end up taping, you're going to end up using the special paper, which you can actually see here, and you end up covering windows, you end up covering everything you don't want painted. After that, you're going to move on to sanding. So you're going to end up sanding the old paint to get a surface which the paint can actually bond to, so your new paint will actually stick to the car. You go through a couple different grids to make sure everything's good, but you end up sanding the entire vehicle. You move on to primer. So anytime you're shooting anything on the car, there's always 2 parts. You've got your primer and your hardener. You've got your paint and your reducer. You've got your clear coat and you've got your clear coat activator. What it comes down to is you're gonna, after it's sanded, you're gonna shoot primer on it. After priming, you're gonna go in and you're gonna wet sand it. So wet sanding, you're gonna bring it all down smooth, get it going. After that's all cleaned up, dried off, wipe down again so there's no dust on it, that's when you start mixing your paint. This is actually a very, very good paint. Wonderful stuff, comes from MVR. But you're gonna mix your paint, you're gonna spray the car. That takes a lot of skill. After that goes, you let it cure usually for a day. So I should mention, after priming, you usually let it sit for a full 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours to let it harden. Then you're gonna sand that down. Then you're gonna spray your car with the color, multiple coats typically. After that, then you're gonna come in and you're gonna shoot clear coat. That's when you let it sit for another 12 to 24 hours, usually recommended. After that, you are still not finished at this point. Typically you go in and you use buffing compound and a buffer, and you end up buffing the vehicle and getting it to that good shine at the end. Having said that, this doesn't take an afternoon to paint a car. Typically it's minimum 3 days, and that's if it's the only project you're working on. Painting a car takes a lot more work than expected, which leads to the higher price. So for part 2, for the actual picking of your paint color, I'm bringing in my paint guy Nick, and he's going to kind of give you the roundabout on the best way to pick the paint itself.
So for starters, you can't just come in here and say you want a shiny metallic green per se. Say there's a specific vehicle that you did see, say for instance, this guy wanted a Mojito green, which is a new 2020 Jeep Wrangler color. He was able to find the vehicle and we were able to find a color code for it. And it's going to go on in Toyota Tacoma, so you don't have to have the same factory paint manufacturer for the vehicle you're trying to do. That's the beauty of custom paint. You can do anything you want.
When it comes to cutting costs on your paint job, if you're trying to get it for as cheap as you can, which normally you are, one of the biggest things to do is figure out where you can save money by doing stuff yourself. Step 1 is going to be obviously doing all the prep work. If your car is wrapped, if you want to remove the wrap yourself, that's going to save you a lot of money because you don't have to pay a guy in the shop to do it. Same thing with plasti dip. If you're confident in your ability and your paint shop allows you to, even doing the sanding, the prep work, getting that stuff done, that'll usually cut down on the cost. The next step is going to be material choice. So you can see, obviously these are both green, but coming down to it, this one here This is a simpler green. This doesn't have metallic, it doesn't have pearl. This is the Army green off of the Toyota FJ Cruisers. It is a great color green, but this, for a gallon of it, usually goes for about $300-ish. This green here, which has the metallic, it has the pearlescent. This is the one off of the new Rubicons. This goes for just over $1,000 for a gallon of paint. So obviously those choices are gonna come into it. Along with that, these are all the Pro line from NVR. These ones are great paint, but this is kind of their budget line. Great paint, but obviously it's not gonna be quite as fancy. There's a huge array of costs you can do. There's, I mean, everything from House of Color, which is full custom, high metallic, really great paint, but also much more expensive. So this bumper we sprayed with that Army green, and you can see that the whole thing is actually painted all the same color. If you notice though, this left side, this one has the pearl thrown into it. You can tell a little bit of a color difference here, but the big difference is going to be when you pull it out into the sun. That was approximately the process of picking paint and kind of the rough go through on what it actually takes to paint a car. Follow along next week. We will be actually painting a car, and you guys can follow along with that one. As always, subscribe if you like these. Follow along. Throw us a like if you want. Comment. Tell us what you like best. All right, bye.